We're continuing this morning with a conversation that is necessary for us to have. Let's push a few buttons this morning. And as we do that, look, I just thought about that last word from the senator this morning. If you want to develop, you must imitate the developed. Put it on a T-shirt, put it in coffee, sell it, bottle it, and let people drink it, because I think at this point, that's what we need. We're getting into another conversation today. Syrian in numbers is what we were told at some point. Look at the political reorganization and what it means ahead of 2027. Former Nyeri Town MP is in the hot seat this morning. Ngunjiri Wambugu is here with us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Nice to see you again.
Good to see you too. Where have you been hiding?
So you know what I do. A chai and mandazi thing.
Yeah.
Then I pick up a suit, come to Nairobi.
Every now and then.
City.
It's a nice suit.
Thank you very much.
So we're going to get into it today. You've been saying some things recently, and of course we see many things changing over time. So even when you're tucked away in your little nook in Nyeri, you seem to still have a voice that is saying certain things.
Yes.
So let's talk about that a little bit today. But before we do that, Dennis is going to welcome you with today's proverb. He'll tell you where it's from, and we'd love to get your interpretation of it.
Yeah, proverb today comes from Liberian, a country of 5.5 million people. The capital city, Monrovia, is named after U.S. President James Monroe. And also, the country operates with the dollar, the Liberian dollar. But let's go to the proverb today. Words are like eggs. When they drop, they break. Words are like eggs. When they drop, they break. How would you interpret that?
Immediate reaction or response to that would mean that once you've spoken, that word is not coming back. The same way when egg breaks, it's done. You can't put it back together again. Because it also means you need to be careful what you say.
Well
Indeed.
said. Straight.
Need to be careful what we say. Well, there are many things happening in the country at the moment. One of the things that we hoped by now would have happened is that people would have come out in overwhelming numbers to have registered to vote. That we know that there are at the very least, a new million people who've gotten IDs after, finishing school last year, and give or take another million who didn't get a chance to register in the last and vote in the last election. And then come about and then do this. You've said, you guys, you know what? The secret is in the numbers, Syrian numbers. So come out, everybody, and register to be a voter. Well, it's been 2 weeks down the thing, Ngunjiri, and only 20,000 people have registered to vote. Is there something that's being said? Is it? Well, yeah, exactly. Because at some point, what we also then are able to relate you with is
Kitaeleweka.
Exactly.
Kilieleweka.
Did it?
I think so. Just listening to Kenyans, I think so. I think it did.
It did.
I think
so. Why are we seeing such few people? Are not? Is it really being understood what people need to do, or have we seen the light? What light is that? There are a number of things that we go through in having this conversation. We're seeing very few people registering to be voters. You've said that at some point things will come to, the clearing will happen. Has the clearing happened for Kenyans so far?
Syrian in numbers, everybody assumes it means one thing, and sometimes I want to tell them that actually means two different things. It means, when you say Syrian numbers, it means, all non-political Kenyans believe it means that the numbers are what make a difference. But then it can actually also mean the same thing, the other way around. Remember in 2022, 8 million people did not vote.
Yes.
So 8 million people not voting meant certain people won. Right? So there's a flip side to Syrian numbers. So if your numbers don't show up, because the problem about our democracy doesn't say how many people need to vote for you to get elected. And let me use an example. When you have a bad nomination process in a political, like now we have by-elections in November, what tends to happen is if you nominate the wrong person, most people will not come out to vote. Then the few who will come out to vote will most probably vote for the person you would not have voted for. And that's the person who becomes your MCA or your
president.
So when you're speaking about Syrian numbers, it works both ways. It works when the numbers come out, and it works when the numbers stay at home.
But what did you mean?
In terms of sitting numbers?
Yes.
I actually wanted people to think about it from that perspective. That we are not just thinking about the fact that sitting numbers come out. Also remember that sitting numbers not coming out is also to somebody's benefit. So even as you're talking about, because now we have a Gen Z that has been very active and been very vibrant, and we've all been expecting for it to come out and vote. But who is this person who has convinced them that they need to vote? I mean, you had Omtata here before, who to a large extent seems to be depending on that generation, because he represents the kind of honesty and candid conversation that we've come to know them for. But who's actually getting them out? Who's convincing them that it is worth their time? Remember when you're a young person, even us when we were young, when you were the equivalent of Gen Z, you get out of home to go and vote because there's something in it for you. If you can't see something in it for you, you're not going to come out. If you don't think it's going to make a difference, you're not going to come out. So we're out here complaining that only 20,000 people have registered to vote. You'll find that most of those 20,000 are most probably not even young people. They're most people who are just never registered to vote at some point. So there's a conversation, there's a switch we haven't turned on yet. Because the guys who used to come out to the streets are a lot more than the people who have registered so far. A lot more. So
can I be an advocate for the other side? Because I heard over the weekend a different conversation.
Yes.
Let's try to extrapolate what this could essentially mean. That, look, if you then underreport a number, it is sending a message. And in this country, we're so political. Everything is politics. So if what you're being told, that this is the official figures of those who've registered, if you underreport, who benefits from the underreporting? Because the argument I was hearing is, who is even vetting? Because there is a very big number, but you see, we sit here and assume, actually, Gen Zs are not registering. That's the assumption because of the figures we're told. But if we then get underreported figures, who stands to benefit?
I'm not sure that underreporting is going to
help anything.
No. Because ultimately somebody is going to know. I mean, I'm assuming even you media guys, by the time you actually report, you're not just depending on one source. You're getting a source and you're qualifying it, or you're back checking it. So I'm not so sure that underreporting is a strategy that is going to benefit anyone, in my opinion.
Yet you see here, we even have a listener who's just said that why is IEBC not reporting real numbers, or people should start posting videos for these numbers to be there. She says, my cousin went to register as a voter, but she couldn't make it because the queue was long. So there are chatters now that the numbers that you're being given by the official body, which is IEBC, does not reflect the actual situation on ground. So if that's the case, then why would IEBC want to give numbers that are not truthful?
To whose benefit would it be for them to give numbers that don't
match up to the reality on ground?
I personally don't see. It could be possible. I mean, this is politics, and I mean, anything is possible. But I don't see why IEBC would be under registered. And then in this country, it's very hard to lie about stuff like that for too long. Somebody is going to come out with, even within IEBC, somebody is going to come out with an figure and say, okay, no, this is not true. So the fact that we haven't had a challenge to that report means that it's most probably true. And then you see also 20,000 people. Because yesterday I had a particular place, I think had 18 people who had registered only. I can't remember what constituency that was. But then you could have another place that has registered 200. And you see, we find 200 people in a queue. That's a long queue. So by the time you combine all the numbers together, 20,000 is a lot and is very, very little when we think about the numbers we're expecting. I think what worries me most is, yes, we want to register another, I don't know how many? 6.3 million. What made the 8 million not come out to vote last time? So
what made the 8 million not to come out are conversations on the streets, and you will hear. And even this year alone, and I've given this example of my mechanic so many times, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but in a nutshell, what his argument was, Baba has joined broad-based. He voted for Baba. And his disappointment is this person that we've been fighting for, we've been voting for, and expected change, he's now with the person who was labeled enemy number one. And then the confusion is, you know what, at the end of the day, my mechanic job, I'm only servicing or repairing 2 cars or 3 cars in a week. Before then, I used to have even 10 cars. So people are feeling there's nothing in their pocket, and therefore, this thing is just all politics. Otherwise, itaibiwa. Kura itaibiwa tu. Nipige nisipige itaibiwa. So the 8 million, and I'm not speaking for the 8 million, but that's one of the reasons that my vote will not count after all, because it will be stolen at the end of the day.
You'd be surprised the number of people who believe it.
That it will be stolen.
Absolutely, or that it already has. You'd be surprised at the number of people who took,
it doesn't make a difference.
Who took, the word that was on podiums a couple of months ago as truth. That actually, all right, so it doesn't matter what I do, they're going to fill the debit anyway. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That it is the reality for a lot of people that it doesn't matter if I go line up on the second Tuesday of August 2027.
Then why do people complain?
Well, that's the thing about human nature, isn't it? That you can complain about something, but you still reserve the right to complain if you don't do something about it. That's what human beings do. But guess what? The person who comes in to be president, MCA, governor, whatever, is the leader of the person who voted and that who did not.
That's it. And it could even be you could have voted, only 10% people showed up to vote and actually elected him. In fact, I keep thinking that if we can have a lot more conversation about why we need to vote, rather than about who we need to vote for, would have a much higher voter turnout, because we depend on people to mobilize. Like now we are waiting for Gachagua, Matiang'i, Ruto, Kalonzo to each mobilize certain people or to mobilize their supporters. But if you spend a lot more time discussing about why, I always use the example of estate welfare groups. Right? In welfare groups, in the estates, wherever you live, you'll find that you have a group that is in charge of garbage. I mean, you come together so that you make sure your garbage is sorted, your security is sorted, your kids are safe, people are not driving beyond a certain speed within the estate and stuff like that. Because of how important these things are to us, you'll find that the estate meetings have a very high turnout of people. It could be, Sunday afternoon, it could be a weekday in the evening, but guys show up. Why? Because this is important to us. You don't want not to be in the meeting and then the rest of your neighbors, your rich neighbors, say you're going to be paying 3,000 shillings for garbage and you want to pay 1,500. So you show up. So that
but
if
then
somebody...
to an extent also you've seen that in that estate, your garbage actually is collected.
Yes.
That your children are safe and that somebody's observing the 10 kph, whatever. You see it.
But what's the
problem, the big difference here is that you've had the same crop of people in the political sphere for the longest time, and sadly sometimes garbage is collected and sometimes there's a repainting of the walls, and maybe you're struggling to make sure that people keep 10 kph. Now we're going to take it to the country level out of the estate. That's the problem. And so people are saying, you know what, maybe I'll go register if you put somebody on the podium, if there's somebody on the podium that's worth my vote. Otherwise I'm not going to bother.
So why aren't good people running? I mean, if we're saying the people who are on the podium are bad, where are we saying we are all bad? And but I always say, because I was an elected politician, I keep telling people, we are representatives of the people who vote for us. So if you have bad people, then they represent us.
Sometimes
so we can't be pointing fingers at people and saying, oh, those guys are bad people. There's nobody who goes into parliament through a back door. Everybody in parliament is elected by someone
or represents
someone. It doesn't matter whether they were rigged in or not. There was another. They didn't take themselves in.
Yes.
There were other people who made sure that they got in. And a lot of the times, the people who made sure they get in are the people they go to represent. So if you are not part of the people who made sure they get in, they don't represent you.
You asked a question, why then are we not getting good people there? Because we have bad people. And I'll give an example. You have very many good people, great people with great ideas. The problem is the political structures, party structures in this country, they are the creation of these structures have been they're in such a way that if you come in with no money, and I'll give an example. A few, I think it was last week, but one, former Chief Justice Emeritus, David Maraga, was somewhere talking to a group of young people. Maraga has always been a judge.
Yes.
It's the first time that he wants to seek an elective position as president of this country. And he's speaking to a lot of these young people, and at the end of the meeting, he leaves. They follow him. They say, "Bwana, unatuacha bila fare." Maraga tells them, "Mimi sina fare. In fact, naomba munichangie for my campaign and everything," and they all walked away.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't have money. So you must have money for you to campaign. So all the good people who have earned their money in a very legitimate, legal way don't have the kind of monies that these other individuals have, for example. So you don't stand a chance if you're running against these people. Because by the time you get a nomination, and we know what happens in party nominations, you have to buy that nomination. It's who has the highest bidder is the one who's going to be given. And you earlier said where the mess is and the problem is, if you have a bad nomination and it's a bad person who gets there, then people fail to show up because the good person they wanted is not on the ballot. Then people don't go out to vote. And that's the problem. It's the way the structures have been set up.
But it's true, there's a way this game is played. And every game has its rules. I mean, look, you guys are here. I'm sure you didn't start here. Right? You started from somewhere, and you worked through the system to get to where you are. That thing works everywhere, even in politics. For example, on the issue of money, there's no smart politician who uses their own money to run for office.
What did you use?
You get friends. So the first thing you must do is that you must convince other people that you're actually worthy of being supported to run for office.
These other people are the ones who are going to give you the money.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because first and foremost, you're running to be elected by people. If you can't convince some people to actually invest in your running, then what are you doing? You're going to use your home budget to go and run for office. So when you tell me that I don't have money to run for office, everywhere in the world, from politics, from the days of Rome, when Rome was a democracy, and senators used to sit wearing those togas and make noise. For you to run for office, you must get some people to invest in you as a beginning.
So
you must actually get a few friends. I must talk to Dennis, I must talk to a couple of people and come, guys, I want to run for office.
And we put our millions now on you.
Not even millions, could be 1,000 bob. Remember Obama's first campaign was actually funded on small monies by college kids, right? So the first thing is, do you actually have an agenda or a cause that I believe in? Because if you do, then I'm actually going to put my 50 shillings, 100 shillings behind it. Do you have a structure of how that money is going to get collected? Are you accountable about how that money is going to get spent? Every successful politician, because you don't just need money, you need people. We keep thinking about the money side, but the money comes after people have come. So the first thing is you must have some people. You must sit with, for example, just to give you a very quick overview of how you run for office, sit with a couple of people, tell them I want to run for MCA. What do you guys think? They tell you, you rubbish, man. You can't be anybody's leader. And most people's ambitions to run for office die there. In your friends, in the club or in the pub or somewhere. But there's some people who tell you, I actually think you'd make a good MCA. See, you guys idea me to pange maneno. You get 10 people, there's 100,000 shillings, you go to a harambe in your local church. You give 20 here, you give 20 here, you give 20 guys as sin. This guy actually has traction. And that's how you fundraise to do politics. You don't spend. When I hear Maraga saying, I don't have money, I'm like, boss, it's not you who's supposed to have money. When you tell me you don't have money, it means you don't have anybody who believes in what you're saying.
No, he's asked people to actually send him money.
If people are not sending him money, then they don't believe in what he's saying.
But you see, Maraga as well says...
You get what I'm saying?
The reason why Maraga was saying he doesn't have money is because of the political culture that has been there. That when you go to these rallies, lazima upange watu.
And you see, the reason...
This is Maraga saying,
yes,
I will not play politics
that is not going to succeed.
The same way legacy politicians have played politics to be corrupt, to bribe voters, to support them. And he's saying, I will do things different in this.
Then I have bad news for him.
Why does he
have bad news for him? Because that's the way the game is played. You're not going to, you see, it's like going to play soccer and telling me, now, I'm not going to wear boots. I'm not going to wear a jersey. I'm not going to actually play this ball. I'm going to use my hands. You're not playing football.
Are you saying for every politician you have to bribe voters?
It's not bribing. First and foremost, these young guys are telling you, see, we created a culture that if you come for a meeting, it's actually called facilitation. It's actually not called bribery. It's called facilitation.
Exactly what it is.
But let me tell you what happens. Have you ever gone for a civil society meeting? Forget about politics. Civil society meeting. They're talking about gender-based violence, or they're talking about corruption, anything. They have facilitation. What does it mean? The people who have come are going to be given fuel to go home. This is not politics. So it's not a culture that is in politics. It's a culture that we have created, that people don't come to spend 3 hours with you and then you don't give them something. Now, it is possible for you to change that culture.
But the thing is, the thing is that in those meetings, usually the stakeholders who come for those meetings, the hope is that what you listen to in that meeting, you're going to take it back to your community or to your place of work and implement it.
Yes.
Now, when we talk about these political gatherings, it usually is that I want to come and convince you of my agenda, and then you vote for me later.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
That's where it dies.
So that's
the differentiator between the two.
Because I'm trying to get away from thinking this is a Kenyan culture. And that's why I was using the Obama example the first time. You're mobilizing volunteers. They're walking around giving out flyers, talking to people to vote for you. You're paying for them. In an ideal situation, that's why I'm saying there's no way you're going to do politics without spending cash. Now, Maraga started from... So when he mobilized these guys, he most probably got some people to hire a place for them. They expect to come and take a cup of tea. Because the assumption that I'm going to come and listen to you... Remember, you're the only one who knows you want to run for office first. When you decide you want to run for office, you're the first person who thinks about it. I actually think I can do a better job than so-and-so who is in office. By yourself. Then you start convincing people. You convince your immediate circle. First, you convince your family. Some people never actually get to convince their family, but that's ideally where you're supposed to start. Then your immediate circle, then you expand it up. When you call me to listen to you for the first time, I have no idea what you're talking about. So most of the time, that is where these people will tell you, natoka hivyo. But the people who you convince, by the way, people who buy into your idea are not as what do you call it? As aggressive in asking you for cash. If you find people asking you for cash when you're leaving a meeting, then you didn't actually convince anybody about your profile. So they're feeling, you actually wasted my time. So why did I come here?
Because the assumption for money,
yes.
And in the Obama case,
yes.
is you are mobilizing people and volunteers who, of course, need fuel. They need to travel from one location to another, point A to point B. Essentially, what they're doing is they may buy water and they're selling your vision. So they could be going out to give stickers to vehicles in traffic and all that. Yes. That facilitation then makes sense. But our facilitation in our Kenyan context is something totally different. It has nothing to do with, have you understood my manifesto? Have you understood my vision? Now go sell this vision to your neighbors.
Yes.
How to get to your neighbors is you need to get a boda, then here's the fuel. You can use the boda, buy an energy drink, buy a soft drink, buy water, buy a mandazi. It helps you from point A to point B. That's how they do it there. Ours here, you inaingia kwa mfuko kidogo hivi, changa. For some of those dudes who
that's a social collapse.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so the money concept then in this case is where... And I'll give an example. So the last election, there's an individual, I won't mention the name, and the dilemma here was, he's a businessman. So he's, of course, been approached by two different candidates from two different parties, and they all want funding. And he's very generous enough to fund both of them.
Yes.
So I was asking him, so when you're funding Ndu, who's running on party A, you are funding Asato running on party B, isn't that conflict? How are you funding both? And he said, look, my friend, like you're saying, the game is played. He said, you know what? I fund number one and number two. In case number one wins, I know I'm going to benefit. In case number two topples number one, I'll still benefit. And so his investment into these two politicians is when they take over power. Of course, he's going to get tenders. He's going to get kickbacks and all these things. So his return on investment has interest. And that's the problem, and that's where we are as a country, because if you're going to get friends who are going to give you money, and we had with these empowerment programs, we've had the empowerment programs where it is said, Rais alitoa milioni 5, Deputy President Kindiki ametoa milioni 2, then tuko na mbunge hapa ametoa milioni 1, then na marafiki wetu who we don't know wametoa milioni 10. Then and this is happening every weekend, and then you're wondering, who is giving out 5 million from their bank account? You're withdrawing money to give to some women somewhere in Ukambani you don't even know. Knowing how selfish we are as a country, it doesn't make any sense.
Actually, it does make a lot of sense.
It does?
Yeah.
How?
Let me, I keep struggling when I hear people say that. We are all very selfish. Human beings are naturally very selfish. And as you said, nobody's going to remove 1 million shillings and give it to some women in Ukamani unless he's getting something in return.
Yes.
So can we first agree that wherever that money is coming from, it's going back? Second...
No. So let's have a conversation here. He said, can we all agree that where the money is coming from, it's going back? Where's it come from?
No, what I'm saying, I want us to first agree on the concept that nobody's going to put 1 million shillings somewhere unless they know they're most probably going to get it back.
All right.
Okay.
So
that's where I want us to agree.
All right.
On, right? Now, the person who puts 1 million shillings knows they're putting that 1 million shillings because they're going to get a business. I'm supporting a governor, for example. And that argument tends to happen a lot. So I'm a rich guy, and I'm supporting two candidates who want to run for governor. Right? Number one and number two. Why? Because when he becomes governor, he's going to be in charge of a 5 billion annual budget. Okay. This 5 million annual budget is for fixing roads, is for fixing hospitals, is for fixing whatever. So he's going to give that business to someone. I just want to make sure that the person who gets that business or part of that business is me. So I invest in him so that when you get into office, hizi biashara za county zingine zinakuja kwangu. And you know, that entire process, there's actually nothing wrong with that process. Huh? It just sounds bad. But in essence, there's nothing illegal. There's nothing actually wrong with that process. Happens everywhere in the world. That's how politicians raise funds. Now, why I said it makes sense. So, you who is not a rich person, why did you vote for this guy? So me, who is a rich person, I supported him because I'm going to get money back. I'm going to get business back. So me, I'm very clear in my head why I'm supporting Ndu to run for governor. You, who is not a rich guy, why are you supporting Ndu? What is your similar argument? I'm investing in this person because they're going to do what for you. Because once we get to that point, then we'll make very good voting decisions. The problem we have is that most people don't get to make that kind of logical decision when you're voting. The rich guys make that decision every single day because they are very clear why they're doing what they're doing. So if you're an ordinary Kenyan who doesn't have 1 million shillings to invest, but you're going to wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning and go and line up and vote for Ngunjiri, you better have a very clear idea why you're voting for him.
And I think that's the problem right there.
Yes.
Because you're operating in a system whereby the very first thing for which you have a law, a supreme one, it's called the Constitution, for which you have systems of government and lawmaking and law following, that kind of objectivity, that it doesn't take any of those things into consideration. Everybody's there for the bottom line. And to say that, you just said it yourself, that businessmen are there giving that 1 million shillings and they're couching it as empowerment. It's not. Who is it empowering this money? It isn't. And the people that are the audience for these empowerment things to be taking place are the people who are being bribed, and I'm going to use that word very carefully, but are being bribed with the 200 shillings that's going to go to them on that particular day to have somebody remember the person who gave them the money when it comes to the vote. You can't tell me it's anything else. Because the hundreds of people that throng these empowerment drives, the little money that they're going away with, I don't know, a motorcycle which never showed up, and this show that people come and say, oh, nimekuja nimesindikishwa na watu wengapi, oh, sijui tumeleta 1 million. You think it's for the people?
Let me ask
Ngunjiri, no.
Why do they keep...
I need you to answer that question.
It is for the people who are there.
That show, is it for the people or is it to empower the people? Those are two totally different things.
what is and I want to go back to that same argument. I just want us to spend just a minute thinking about that example.
Let's do it, but Ngunjiri, I want you to answer my question.
Yes, I'm actually answering your question.
That money, is it for show, for people to see that Ngunjiri is this guy who is able and aweza, or is it actually to put money so that these people who come for that meeting can get something through which they will be empowered?
You know, I've done empowerment meetings, even when I was a member of parliament, and you do it for both. You do it for show because people expect you to show that, and you do it because they're actually people who are going to benefit as well. And the question I think we need, you see, first, a lot of us who don't go for those meetings, because I'm sure here nobody has gone for that meeting, right? Look down at that meeting as if it doesn't make a difference. But there's a person who lives home, and the only money he's going to have that day is the 500 shillings he's going to get from that meeting. That is his job. You know, we actually have people whose work is attending political meetings.
That's true.
They wake up to find out, leo kuna empowerment wapi. You show up, you get your 200 bob, your 500 shillings, and that is what your family is going to live on today, on that day. Because if this thing wasn't working, you know, we are all human beings. We are all people. There's no person who is more person than the other one. So if I don't go, I shouldn't look down on the person who goes and think I'm better than them. Because the reason I didn't go is because I don't need that 500 bob. The person who went because they needed that 500 bob. So can we first start
on
from...
that day?
On that day. So
it's not empowerment.
Let me ask you, that person got empowered on that day because there was nowhere else they would have gotten empowered. Because if they had somewhere else they would have gotten empowered, that's where they would have been. You didn't go because you had somewhere else you're getting empowered.
No, because they were in Moya and I'm in Nairobi, for crying out loud, and maybe I was working on the day.
Who's the local MP here?
This is the thing that I'm talking about, Ngunjiri.
Yes.
Can we look at this thing with broad strokes and to say that in the ecosystem of governance, leadership, constitutionalism, when we talk about empowering and protection of livelihoods for Kenyans, it's not looking at the 500 shillings on a day. It's looking at the systems that we put in place to ensure that for generations, children will go to school, that you have a healthcare system that works. Not for some show on a Saturday, and then by the time you're finished, you give somebody 500 bob or the promise of a motorcycle that's never going to come to fruition.
No, I wanted to ask you, I was asking who is your member of parliament here. If he came and did a rally out here, would you go?
Me, Ndumi?
Yeah.
What was he talking about that day?
It doesn't, see now, you see, you would be asking, what is he going to talk about? There's somebody who doesn't care what he's talking about. There's somebody who is going to hear there's an MP or an MP aspirant outside Standard gate and show up and walk from very far. And it's important for us to have real conversations, because sometimes we hear speaking up here. Real conversations. Why does somebody leave their home and walk for 5 kilometers to pick 200 bob?
Because they've become your slave.
No.
Yes, they are.
Yes, they will.
See,
you can't run away from that realization.
You see, you've given just a second. You've given an example of why Ndu wouldn't go.
Yes.
The reason is she has a job.
Yes.
Now, this politician knows.
Yes.
You've enslaved these people for too long. You've broken down every form of structure that will empower them.
Why do you talk about politicians?
When you talk, what the clear English definition of empowerment
Yes.
is giving somebody the independence to control something. Either it's their own resources, or maybe you've given them a skill that then will empower them to generate some form of revenue or income. In this case, you're giving this young man, able-bodied, 500 shillings, and you're calling that empowerment. Because he can buy unga for the day.
Okay, you're an able-bodied person.
Yes.
Who empowered you?
No, I empowered myself. Went to school.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Are there guys from where you come from who go for those meetings?
Yes, I know.
What's the difference between you and them?
It is because I worked hard and rose through the structures.
So what government and political structure got you here?
Well, the government created an enabling environment. One, for me to go to school, get a proper education. Number one.
Which is what
So the government
education.
actually worked in your case.
Yes.
So why didn't it work for the similar person in your shoes who is not you?
Well, everybody has their own story. Everybody has their own story.
Now you've come to the point I'm trying to
everybody
make.
has their own story. But no, you can't qualify that statement to then say, to justify that, okay, this person then can go there. My point here is, So for the person who didn't, because we all can't get employment, it's the same way we all can't be priests.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
We all can't be politicians.
Yes.
But the expectation then is for Dennis Okari, who got a job, who was fortunate and got a job. There is somebody else who can't get a job. But what else can they do? Can they paint? Okay, is there an enabling environment that has been created by their representative such that they can do their painting? They will not be overburdened by taxes, but this person can do their painting, open up a shop, and be able to sell me a painting of myself. Those structures are the ones that have been
Who is
broken.
making those structures?
It's our politicians.
Who is making politicians?
Ngunjiri.
No, I mean, no. We are going to work this.
Yes.
We are going to walk through this path together.
All right.
Who is making politicians? Why is Dennis Okari not a politician?
Why am I not a politician?
Yes.
I give you a straight answer.
Yes.
I hate politics.
But you see, that's my problem.
Yeah, I
So
hate how
you
it's
hate
been
politics
done.
and you don't get out there and get involved in it. And then some guy who is not you, who doesn't have your value system, who doesn't have your principles, doesn't mind doing politics. Maybe because you have an option, you don't have to do politics.
Yeah.
Some other guy thought, nimetafuta kazi kila mahali nimekosa.
So let me be a politician.
So I've become a politician. And then Dennis Okari, who could actually have made a better politician than that guy, didn't become a politician. Then that guy, listen, let's give me a minute here. Give me a minute here.
Okay.
Then that guy went to his local, convinced a bunch of 100 people who are local like him, see, you elect me MCA.
While they were having a drink.
Yes, they're having a drink. And they elected him. Then he got elected as MCA, and he came and he's MCA of where Dennis Okari lives, and will never fix a road or drainage, and Okari will complain every day.
But Ngunjiri, what we're talking about right now is we have an Okari in Maraga who has said, I am getting into these muddy waters and I will do things differently because this is how I want to do it.
Yes.
But even while at it, what are we saying? What are we seeing? Kenyans are used to the same old way of doing things.
You know why?
Maraga is saying, I'm not going to play those games. Listen to what it is I'm saying. Make a decision of what I'm telling you, the promises I have for you and your people. How is it that what has been done before that is muddy, that is wrong, is what is being peddled today as the right thing?
Because Aseto is over here and Okari, and they are talking about Maraga as a good guy who could actually make a difference, and that's it. They're not putting money behind him. They're not putting their mind behind him. They're not going to ask him, where can we help you?
That's why he's not doing what?
That's why he's not doing well.
Oh, okay.
You get? Because all the people who think he can actually do well are watching him and just waiting and saying, man, why are people being so difficult with Maraga? Why can't they see he's such a breath of fresh air?
Okay.
Maraga has said, I don't have money to bribe. I have money for my campaign.
What is his campaign?
People.
But you see, what is his campaign?
Allow me to ask you a couple of questions.
Yes,
and
please.
these are just a yes or no, and then I'll get to the one where you can expand a little bit, all right?
Right.
This money that's given to folks at these empowerment drives, how much is it? Give or take 500,000 shillings?
500, 200,
Okay.
depending.
What would this money do on a daily basis?
It might not even do much. It could
What,
just buy
buy
you
some
food, buy you unga. Actually, it's called unga money.
It's unga money.
Yeah.
Or maybe there's a school fees balance, 500 shillings, at least I
Could
can
be.
give the teacher shikilia
Could be.
kidogo,
Could be.
nakuja, pay a
And by
debt.
this, some people come a whole family, yeah?
Right.
You come, you and your kids, so you walk home with 1,000 bob or 2,000 shillings.
So pay a debt, right?
Yes.
So who are the folks that are handing out this money at these empowerment drives? CSs,
Yes.
members of parliament, right? CSs, people who are the vanguards of policy for government, right? Members of parliament,
Yes.
who make the law,
Who are elected by these people.
budget, who make the they've been elected. We're done. Ngunjiri, they're in parliament, right? They make the law, they make the budget,
Yes.
they oversight, they represent, right? This is their job. When they sit in parliament and they
Yes.
sit in these committees, their job, according to the constitution, is to ensure that this poverty that we see, that this money that people are looking for to send their children to school, that food prices not so expensive that people cannot even store food in their homes, that's what they should be doing in the hallowed halls of parliament every day. So when they get into these positions, What stops them from actually doing their job so that we don't have to have empowerment whereby 5 million shillings is spent on a Saturday or 10 million shillings is spent on another Saturday, which if you combine that money and you put it into a system that's supposed to be working, we wouldn't have people thronging to this place. What stops them? Let's even say fine. They bribed their way through the campaign. They facilitated people left, right and center. Then they get in, they have 5 years to fix this thing. But you know what? We're doing empowerment 3 years after an election where people have gone in. These people are there. They don't have to come and do empowerment to remain members of parliament or to remain CSs. They're there already. Let's say that they did it before and we said, okay, fine, we've gotten into a new. What stops them from making the law, budgeting the money, representing, oversighting to ensure that people don't have to come and hang on their every word to walk away with 500 bob at the end of the day, but will actually go to here, okay, this is how we're going to make things better. So even if you don't give them the 500 bob after that, they're okay. What stops them from doing that work?
Two things. First thing is reality.
Reality stops members of parliament for doing the job that they've been elected to do, which is what?
Second thing is they want to come back.
Let's go to the reality.
Reality is this. We are expecting to have 22 million registered voters. Ideally, if the system works, right? We have 7 million, approximately, registered taxpayers. And we have 3.5 who actually pay taxes. Our entire budget as a country, we have no extractive economy, we don't have oil, we don't have nothing we do. Our complete comprehensive budget as a country is funded by 3.5 million Kenyans who actually pay taxes, right? 50 million people ride on 3.5 million people who pay taxes. That's the reality that we live in. A lot of the people who go for empowerment drives don't pay taxes. Except when they're buying sugar, except now what are they called? The compulsory taxes. You're buying sugar, you're buying fuel, you're buying paraffin, you're buying something. But the way you sit down and you make money, you made 10,000 bob and you paid 2,000 shillings for your taxes, they don't pay.
I'm asking.
No, I'm explaining to you where reality checks in.
For members of parliament who've been elected to do their job.
But see, your job requires you to actually have money.
In parliament?
No. To make the policy. Remember,
Ngunjiri, you've got the job.
There's something you're not understanding.
No, Wambugu, come on. You've gotten the job.
Yes.
You've been elected.
Yes.
You hold the Bible, you swear that I am member of parliament for Nyeri town, I will do 1, 2, 3.
And what is that I'm swearing I'm going to do? I'm going to make sure they have roads. I'm going to make sure they have hospitals that work. I'm going to make sure they have schools that work. I'm going to make sure that their living standard is manageable.
Let me just give you one example so that you can tell me how it's not possible to do the job.
Tell me.
Okay? The Auditor General here sings every day until Dennis Okari has gotten a kink in his side and talks about how billions of shillings every year go to ghost schools, as if we don't know where those ghost schools come from. This report is then handed over to members of parliament and they're told, okay guys, you can do something about this thing because you're the one who makes the what? You make the law.
So what should they do exactly?
Are you kidding?
I'm
people who've stolen money, they can retrace the thing. Can they make recommendations for actual prosecution to actually go so that you can, number one, recover the money and to ensure that tomorrow the money actually goes where it's supposed to go? Right. What stops them from doing that?
So you do a recommendation.
Are there empowerment drives that are happening within the walls of parliament?
Let's walk this. And that's why I said I want us to be real. So you make a recommendation. School ABC doesn't exist. And it's been receiving 20 million shillings every month. So you need to find out, you need to prosecute someone. So the first person you need to prosecute to find is a person who actually got ABC to look like a school that exists. Okay. Because somebody did that.
It's in the system.
Somebody put it in the system. So you need to get that person. Then you need to find the person who has been paying. They tend to be different people. Then you need to find the person who has been getting paid. Then you need to find the person who has most probably been dividing that money. So you need to get all these 4 people and get them arrested and prosecuted. Let's even assume you actually do that. Then you take them to court. So once you take them to court, this is an entire system. So don't just blame politicians. Once they go to court, we have a very good constitution that says you have to exhaust every single process of appeal. So you're not going to throw that guy in jail. He's going to he has money. He's been collecting these 20 million shillings every month, so he can afford good lawyers. He can argue his case forever, right? So we are here as Kenyans complaining, how come this is not working? Because our entire system is cyclic like that. You got the guys arrested, you took them to court, they got good lawyers, and I'm just assuming everything is working. Who stalled the process?
But they've never done it for us to know.
Yeah.
They've never done it.
Never done
there
it.
has never been a prosecution and or arrest over discrepancies that have been found in an Auditor General's report since the days of Eddie Ouko. It has never happened. There have been recommendations.
How many
there
elections?
Has never been.
How many elections have there been?
And my question is, why has there never been? You've been a member of parliament.
Yes.
Why has that never happened? Do you know how many billions of shillings have been lost? Do you know that today...
Who told us it used to be 2B every day?
Wait, the person who was in the party where you were a member of,
my
Mr.
party
Ngunjiri,
leader.
Exactly, your
President.
party leader is the one who told
President
us.
of the
Isn't
Republic.
it? So he must have known something. Today, do you know that let's not even talk about before 2025. Today, children are owed 4,700 shillings from capitation. The term is over. We've not paid them. Nobody's going to ask.
Baka next year now.
Nobody's going to ask, where did that money go to? How are we going to make it back? Places where you sat. So don't tell us about empowerment and how these things, the money that was there, it was budgeted for, money that was not lost, taken, where did it go? Who is asking the questions? Before you want to now come and make it look better by handing 500 shillings to people at a rally, where did the money go? Try and tell us that you have failed rather than not try at all. Do I sound like I'm getting upset? That is because
Actually,
that
you
is
should
where
be upset.
Kenyans are. And if you're not upset, then we have a problem.
But they are not
There has
registering to vote.
never been.
You see, now my problem is
There
this.
has never been, and I'm asking.
Yes.
Let them not even register to vote.
Why?
No.
How are they going to solve the problem?
It's a scenario that I'm painting
yes.
here. Let them not even register to vote. But let's say, guys, can you even deal with the issues that have been there before? They've never been dealt with, Ngunjiri.
Fair enough. And since they've never been dealt with, I'm assuming when we go into the next election, we're going to scrap the entire parliament and elect good people in.
Oh, God. Okay. Uh-huh.
That's my assumption. Since we are so upset about how these members of parliament are behaving, and we are so angry, and we know what they should be doing, the next election, we are all showing up, we're removing them and putting good people.
Well, that's going to happen.
That's my assumption. You know, Dennis, we're going to meet here in 2028 and we're going to have this conversation, or 2029.
Ngunjiri, I've always voted. And I'll tell you.
I'm not saying you.
No, I'm saying.
I'm
I've
saying
always voted,
Kenyans, yes.
And the people I've voted for.
Yes.
Here's the disappointment. Ngunjiri will come today to me. We'll host you here. And you'll articulate yourself. You can smooth talk your way out of anything, but then you'll say, this is my manifesto, this is my vision. And I may know you from where you're coming from and say, okay, Ngunjiri is a genuine person. He means well. The minute you get into parliament, tables turn. Everything changes.
It's the Kool-Aid.
We have so many examples. We've hosted members of parliament here who say the moment they got in, they realized that place is like a cult. If you're not part of that cult, you're ousted. You're on the out. To even pass a bill, because you can't go there to represent your people, and you're saying you genuinely want to represent your people. You want to have a motion. For you to even get support and even a quorum in parliament, you must bribe your way. Every person comes in, you've been there. Somebody will ask you, okay, what is in it for me? That is the kind of environment we're in. So it's not necessarily you as an individual, it's where you're going and the culture you find there. The people have decided, I'm not going to be part of that culture. I'm going to do good. We've had governors in this country who've governed their counties and they have set templates. Yet you have 46 others. Yeah. So you're looking at all these other people. What are they doing? And all these people, when they're going to get elected, they had proper manifestos.
True.
We had the plan by
some of
UDA. Yeah, and we were promised we're going to have stadiums, we're going to improve healthcare, we're going to improve education, none of these empowerment things we were told. The Nyota initiative was not part of that plan. But today we have 5 billion that is being set to give to 800,000 youth. We don't even know where these 800 youth are coming from. We're not setting up structures within constituencies or even counties that are going to ensure, instead of me giving you that 1,000 Ngunjiri, how about I set up a social hall? How about I set up structures that then you can use your skills, digital skills, maybe lower the cost for accessing internet. think about those kind of things that then you don't need to come back to me. The next time you'll see me is after 5 years.
Yeah.
Did I perform or not? But this thing of every weekend you have to show up in my church. Every Saturday you have to show up in a funeral somewhere or a wedding somewhere. You have to show up on my face every time. It is because, for me to remember. And you
politics is very present.
It's because there's something else you're hiding.
Yeah. Not necessarily. And I will keep saying you're playing the game as it is. When that plan was being given to you, it was most probably given to you in an empowerment program. When that plan was being explained to you, you are most probably in a forum where you actually got 500 bob.
So it's designed. So what you've admitted to,
you see what I'm saying?
What you've admitted to is that it's a design to keep people
from the very
controlled,
beginning.
like
From the very beginning of where you were actually explaining your manifesto. You are most probably explaining your manifesto to a group of people who you still gave 500 shillings after you explained your manifesto.
So, Ngunjiri,
Right?
so are you saying here that the political class has never thought of service delivery to the people, but
There is
themselves?
nothing like a political class.
There is nothing like a political class.
Nothing like a political class.
I think there's a bang
Today,
for
let me
every
tell
of
you.
these conversations.
Let me tell you
Yeah.
why I say that. The day Dennis Okari runs for office and gets elected, does he become political class?
Well, apparently there's some Kool-Aid that everybody drinks when they get into the thing.
So does he become another animal? Do you get what I'm saying?
Did you?
That's what I'm asking.
Did
I
you?
change? No,
Yes.
I didn't. Why I say there's nothing like a political class is because a political class is part of the society in which we are living. And you're in it, like now I'm not an elected member of parliament, right? 3 years ago I was. 3 years from now I might be. That thing, that wave that moves Ruto from civilian, who is a civilian today? Is he a member of the political class?
Yes, he's a
Why?
party leader
Of Jubilee.
Of your
Is
party.
Matiang'i-
He belongs to a cabal of individuals who would sit down and agree on how we will sit together to maintain power, to protect our interest. Therefore, my question is very simple. When you get to power and you are there to serve the people, to represent, are you thinking about making it better for the Mwananchi or how I am getting back to
But he
power?
already told you that they're thinking about how they will get money back.
How they'll get back to power, how they'll get money back. Why? Because all of us are selfish. My only problem is that the people who vote are not being selfish.
Okay.
Actually, I want the people who vote to use the same logic that the business person uses.
Okay.
When
Think
you're
about
going to
yourself
vote,
first.
think about yourself first. Put someone in office who is actually have a very candid conversation. I'm going to vote for you. What are you going to do for me? That's the conversation we need to have all the time.
Ngunjiri Wambugu is former member of Parliament, Nyeri Town. He's been with us this hour. Okay.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.